happy Sunday, guys. Y'all look well rested.
Oh, well,
Yeah, no.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Because that's not how you feel.
Absolutely
Both
not.
of us were up here at the store till, midnight last night?
It was after
Close to
11.
Yeah.
At our local comic shop.
Yeah, we were
Nice.
watching the pay-per-view for AEW Full Gear.
Oh, get some wrestling on, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
Nice.
it was a good show.
Did
Yeah.
it? Okay, so it treated you well.
It was one of those shows that every match popped.
It was fun. Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
I saw a Instagram photo of our buddy Mike Nelson holding a fancy belt, saying he won he's now the fantasy champion. So like, before we get into the show, explain what that is. How do you do fantasy wrestling, and
You
what
want
does
to
that
explain
mean?
it?
So the lineup of the matches are given. Everybody picks a winner and how they're going to win.
Okay.
And you're given points based on, obviously, if you guess correctly. You also get points if you bring food.
Okay.
So if you bring food, you get, you walk in at an advantage.
It's kind of like what is it?
If I
It's
don't-
an
Warcraft, where
encouragement
you
to
get-
get people to help contribute to it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's a thing, because when I showed up, I was like, God damn it, if I'd have brought a bag of chips, I'd have been, because I came in with a score of 20. Nelson won with 22.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So if I'd have brought
See,
some,
man, you get those good waves. Those
Yeah.
waves?
I should have brought something, I should have brought a bunch of Cliff Bars, some stuff nobody would eat. But I'd be like, sorry, motherfucker, rules are rules. Give me my points.
That's what I do. No one ever eats the cookies, so I bring cookies so I can take them home and eat them
I
later.
should have brought just a bunch of little protein shakes. Enjoy.
So like if I roll in with like my smoker with some good meat going and don't win a single match, can I still win? Like is there a graded skill? Like,
You can win the
you get
win
a-
the Mongo belt by not winning any.
That's whoever scores the lowest gets the Mongo belt.
and that's me.
That's the
this
belt
week.
of shame,
Okay.
of which our friend Craig Lance is now carrying.
I did a promo on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So
Bro, if I roll in here with a smoking ass brisket and y'all give me a Mongo belt, I'm hitting you with chairs. Like,
that,
I will.
worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. So what's interesting about Nelson now being the champ is the last pay-per-view, he was actually the Mongo belt.
Ah,
so
you can
he
flip.
went from,
Yeah. 0 to
swimming
hero.
with the snakes to soaring with the eagles, as our eminent Macho Man Randy Savage would say.
Caca, motherfucker.
He actually tied with Frank, who is Tony's brother, Tony that works here at the comic book store. He tied with Frank, but he won in the trivia to win. But Frank was the previous Mongo belt champ.
Yeah.
So it really can change on a pay-per-view by pay-per-view basis. You're not old scores don't matter. You get a bonus for winning the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the old saying? Any given Sunday?
Yeah.
That's it.
Except
Any
it was
given
Saturday.
pay-per-view.
I love that you guys are doing that now. And I love that the shop is kind of a place like that is what I think of when I think of a local comic shop. It should be a place where people can come together for more than just like buying your weekly comics. But like you come together, you make friends, you gather, you watch things, even if it's not comic book related. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you guys do that. Your Saturday night sounds way more interesting than my Saturday night, which was spent reading case law till about 11 o'clock.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll pass.
I got 1 week left of classes, then finals,
Nice.
and then 1 semester left, and then the rest of my life.
Nice.
Because this is just where I exist now.
After I don't want to be a downer.
Did you
I was gonna reference the bar. That's all. I wasn't gonna say anything.
take it in July?
Yeah.
Yep, take it in July. Going to quit my job about 3 months before and quit everything else about 3 months before except for the van and just solely like dedicate myself to studying for the bar.
I think what I just heard is Southern Fried Geekery is taking a 3-month break.
No, that's not. I don't count SFG in that.
Oh,
This is the thing I do to keep from like going up to
Because
the fifth floor and
we
open a
aren't doing
window.
the show without Caleb. Because Matt and I trying to work the soundboard.
Yeah.
It would be like
There's too
that
many-
scene from Zoolander where they're beating on the computer trying that's what that would be.
So
Maybe we need to yell louder and it'll record, Craig. Maybe
it's hilarious, and this is not me saying that like I have zero problems with this. But if there's ever a situation where like I can't be on a Sunday, or let me if there's ever a situation where Matt or Craig can't be on Sunday, they'll say, hey, I can't be there this Sunday. And we'll be like, okay, cool. Do you want to switch up and go to a different night? And they're like, no, y'all go ahead. It's great. If I call in like, guys, I can't do it this Sunday, Craig's like, all right, so when we doing it Friday? Craig's like, nope.
Or, okay, Caleb, but you got to get up and turn on your computer so Matt and I can record through Zoom.
And I love it. I don't mind at all. It's hilarious.
Why isn't my computer working? Craig, that's a makeup mirror.
Pretty much.
Speaking of this podcast that we do for you guys listening at home, this is the Southern Fried Geekery podcast, and we are back as usual. I am Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
Matt Trogdon.
And I am Craig Lance.
And for those of you who don't know,
checked my ID this morning.
Let me see your driver's license. Pull out of your butt. Pull it pocket.
Oh,
there was more words to that. For those of you who are listening at home, we are a comic book based podcast. We are a couple of friends who live in Central Arkansas. We get together and talk about the funny books because we love it. And so far, we have done this little show that we do, counting today, for 203 episodes. Which
it's not 403?
It's not 403.
Oh, okay.
It's not. Did you listen to an episode that you weren't on?
I was told about it by a little birdie.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I shared with Craig.
No, I don't listen to the episodes I'm on.
Well, I don't listen. Well, no, because you're on them. You've already heard it once. But how do you know that we're not? Never mind.
There's always that chance that I'm going to repeat everything you guys said the week before when I come on the following week.
It's all good. Even if you do, we don't care. We want your insights. That's why we like you. That's why we're all here. But yeah, so we get together, we talk about the funny books, we tell you what we've been reading. Every once in a while, kind of like we're going to do a little bit today, we talk about recent events that's happened in the comics community. Just a tidbit, a little pop culture thing. This weekend, Disney Plus, I think it was Friday, had quote unquote Disney Plus Day, where they unleashed a barrage of things that we are going to be seeing in the near future. TV shows and stuff that are going to be on Disney Plus. Now, did you guys get to see any of the things?
I did, and before we get too far into it, there's a big thing that happened is Disney didn't think it through very well.
Okay.
Because next week is D23, which is the big Disney announcements that they do every year. So people were upset that there was no Star Wars information. And now they think that, well, what they had to do was hold off that stuff for the D23, so they had something to announce at D23.
Dude, as many things as Disney owns, they could have a release date for any given sector or corner or wedge of what
just
they
weird
own.
To do it back-to-back weeks. They really need to try and combine that, I think, in the future.
Well, they could have just completely waited till, Celebration to do any Star Wars news. So at least you're getting that. Dude, they own so much. But no, there's some really cool stuff that they previewed. Obviously, so I kind of have a top 3 of the stuff. They gave us a sneak peek of the She-Hulk television show, and all of this is going to be on Disney Plus. I should say that this is not like
because this is
releases.
the Disney Plus announcement
right,
stuff.
Right. So we're getting for me super excited about She-Hulk.
Looked really good.
Yeah. Super excited about Moon Knight.
Moon Knight looked amazing.
I have wanted that for a long time, and everything on paper looks like it's adding up. And something that for me I can't wait, but I just different tastes. I don't think you guys would be nearly excited about it. Is the Agatha TV show that's spinning off from WandaVision?
I will definitely watch it. I enjoyed WandaVision.
Yeah,
I would put my number 3 at Hawkeye.
Yeah,
because
Hawkeye looked really good.
That preview looked pretty freaking, and it was just actually a scene from probably the first episode, but it was amazing.
What a time to be alive.
Dude,
it really is. It is.
Tell 13-year-old me, hey, Hawkeye is going to have his own TV show one day. Like, you're drunk.
Be like, huh?
What? Hawkeye?
Well,
the dude in purple with a bow and arrow?
I mean, tell 13-year-old you or me that Iron Man was going to be a blockbuster hit
was going to be the cornerstone of this Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And I would have probably slapped you. So in addition to that, we did see, now I know Matt said, no, you didn't really see anything, but I think you did because you texted a little bit about it. We are getting a new season of X-Men 97 that is going to be a continuation of the X-Men animated series.
I think he meant he didn't watch any of the videos.
I didn't get to see the trailers. I hadn't had a chance to sit down and watch them yet, but I did see the news. Yeah, where we're getting the new X-Men cartoon, so that I'm optimistic about.
Yeah, I'm hesitant.
X-Men's hard, man. The X-Men
They've
is
done
hard.
a pretty good job of doing these follow-up seasons
Yeah.
from existing properties that they've owned, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable with
Yeah.
it. But
So I actually own all the seasons of the X-Men animated
now, you
series.
don't.
Well, no, not well. I won't. I technically, right now, I do. I just don't. That's been released, but so I'm curious to see where they go with it. I grew up on that show, right? Like that was one of my introductions to the X-Men. But the first and second seasons are really good. If you get into some of the later seasons, it kind of drops off hard, like hard.
They take it's like what's interesting about that show. As the animation improves, the stories decline.
Right.
And man, you get to that last season, and they make some weird decisions. Weird decisions. But man, when that cartoon first came on when I was a kid, I was like overstimulated.
Oh, dude, you hear that opening riff?
That opening riff, you're like, it's metal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, now, what year did that start coming out?
Well, it's called X-Men 97, so I think it's 97. I don't know. I was a kid, and I existed on Fox. Like, I had 24711 growing up, so like it was already out. Like, I got the after-school special, so I have no idea when it did.
It was early 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember I was a kid when it came out. It was early 90s.
All I know is I'm still not over what they did to Morph. Not okay. Like that was
neither was Wolverine.
Yeah, neither was he.
That's why he punched Cyclops in the gut.
That's
a moment that is a highlight of my childhood. that has helped my mental state ever since.
It does. Like, you just have to go back and remember that sometimes.
I loved, and I'll just pull up that GIF of him punching Cyclops, and just like it just smiles for hours. It's just wonderful.
All right, so some other things that we know we're getting. Obviously, we're getting season 2 of What If, which I really enjoyed season 1. Did either of you watch What If?
I didn't even watch. I watched the first episode, and it just it's for somebody. That somebody just wasn't me. But I don't like the What If comics either, so it wasn't really. I wasn't a mark for that show.
Gotcha.
So
I never cared for the What If series when I was growing up. There are one-offs that are excellent though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the concept I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah.
I enjoy some of them. It's like you said, you pick which ones you read and you see what's going on. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the show. Like, there were a few episodes that went downhill. Now, what I thought was weird, like What Ifs are, like you said, they're typically one-offs, but the show actually ties together at the end. So it does something where it kind of culminates. That was pretty cool. Marvel Studios is giving us Echo because we needed a show about a dolphin. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Like, I'm curious to see what they do.
Is that what that's about?
Yeah,
I thought it was about Echo the Inhuman.
I think it's about, like, wasn't.
I didn't know there was an Echo dolphin in the Marvel universe.
There is an Echo the dolphin.
Oh, okay.
I thought this was about a dolphin.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Well,
So I
you're
know that
you're probably right.
Either one's just as random.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the thing now, and there is Echo was also somebody who won the Phoenix Force tournament last year in, like, the Avengers thing. So that new character who's now taken over the Phoenix Force. I'm gonna pretend like it's a dolphin until I hear otherwise.
Perfect.
Because dolphins. We are getting what I'm assuming is an animated series. I'm not 100% sure. Spider-Man freshman year.
Yeah, but it's an animated series.
So I was just gonna say I don't see Tom Holland doing a TV show, but maybe he is. I mean, look, we just got WandaVision. We are getting I Am Groot, which is little baby Groot. It's gonna be fun. We are getting Ironheart, which I'm super excited about. I cannot wait to see Riri. Like I said, we're getting Agatha House of Harkness to play off House of Darkness. I love that. We're getting a Marvel Zombies show of some sort. Again, I think it's probably animated. We saw a little bit of the Marvel Zombies in the What If show, so we have a taste. And then I guess what they wanted to be like the culmination or the big break, we're getting Secret Invasion, and it's going to have Mr. Motherfucker himself in it. So I'm
we
excited.
kind of all knew that.
Yeah.
With what's been going on in the movies, we were going to get a Secret Invasion at some point.
More Sammy L is good for me though. Like, I don't care what form we get it in. So, give me more Sammy L.
Sammy L, huh?
Sammy L. Jackson, Mr. Jackson, if you're nasty.
We'll go with Sammy L.
I mean, Mr. Motherfucker. Like, what else are you gonna call him?
As long as they don't de-age him and try to have him run and beat people up.
Look, yeah, who knows what they'll do? But no, I think he's just being Nick Fury. I think he's like old Nick Fury in this, from everything that I've seen and heard. So the second bit of information, which is going to play a little bit into our show. So, Craig, last episode, we ended up having a DC extravaganza, like an impromptu. Like almost everything we talked about was DC. And we made a joke at the end of the show that we need to put DC and let it rest for a little bit.
And we didn't.
And no.
Psych.
That was not allowed to happen because Diamond Distributors, the formerly only distributor, now still like one of the big like 2 or 3 distributors for comics, got hacked and made a big issue in the comics world in a place that's already having some supply chain issues, as is the rest of the country. Somebody hacked them. They got some malware going on, and like our local comic shop still hasn't gotten new comics from last week yet. The only comics that came out were DC Comics because they are not distributed through Diamond. And you know, in the small scale, it's just a minor inconvenience for us as readers. Like, you know, we haven't gotten books yet. Oh, like how hard is life? But this causes a lot of problems for a lot of people, especially small retailers who exist on a very tight budget. Like they don't have room to play around too much. And, you know, I'm just going to throw out a number. It could be wrong, but arguably 75% of their weekly income is they don't have it. They don't have the ability
I'd
to
imagine
give it
most
out.
comic book stores, it's closer to 90.
Probably. I mean, like DC's the only thing that they got.
Yeah, and, you know, especially following the COVID times from last year when they couldn't get new books for, 6 months?
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of them are operating on shoestring budgets, and it probably could be the death knell for some of them. You know, hopefully not.
I think a lot of comic stores, because it's part of a broader niche market, have done what our LCS has done, and they've diversified their income a little bit. So our LCS doesn't exist solely off of new comics income. Like they have a great back issue selection, they have a great trade paperback selection, but they also sell a lot of toys. They sell a lot of games. Ours doesn't do like the Magic the Gathering and stuff as much. Like there's a lot of comic stores that like half the store is gaming and half the store is comics, but as far as like old school toys and action figures and like ephemera and memorabilia, our store has a lot of that, and I think he makes a lot of money off that. So, you know, I think with stores like that, but if your store is only there's a store across town that only kind of exists off of new comics. I imagine you had a rough week last week.
They actually get theirs from one of the other distributors who got their books.
Okay. Nice. Well, hopefully that saved them some then.
It was a big kerfluffle on Facebook between the 2 comic book stores and turf
shots were fired, apparently.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Huh. Bum.
Yeah.
Drama. Sounds like drama. Don't want a part of it.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this show, so we'll just keep going.
No,
please.
You'll have to fill me in later.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I don't know about you guys, but to quote my buddy Jason Wood, if I never bought another new comic in my life, I could probably still like read a different comic a day without repeating what I've read, just because I've got so many fucking comics that I haven't read yet. And so we still have books to talk about. So we are going to start this show off like we always do and drop a little short stack, 3 things that we read this week, liked it, loved it, hated it, just kind of give a brief synopsis of it. So Craig, why don't you tell me what's on your short stack? Start us off this week, brother.
Yeah, this was definitely one of those weeks that I was really glad I was about 3 weeks behind on my reading because I still had stuff to read. I read War of Bounty Hunter, Star Wars, issue number 5. This was the culmination of this miniseries.
Okay.
Really good. Of course, Boba Fett. Spoilers if you haven't seen Return of the Jedi. Does get Han Solo's carbonite frozen body back. But it sets up a big deal with Crimson Dawn, which if you saw Solo, you know that is being ran by Kira and Darth Maul. Yeah. So that it sets up some stuff there.
Has there been a series called Dawn of Thrawn? I feel like that's just like begging to be told.
What else did you read, Craig?
Yeah. Remember when I was talking about Norse mythology?
I do.
And they had wrapped up their stories? Well, issue number 5 came out. It's Dark Horse Comics, Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell, Gabriel Hernandez Walta, and Galen Showman. Mm-hmm. This tells the story of the apples that make them immortal.
Okay.
And Loki's involvement in almost ruining that for them. and Old Man Thor punching Loki and all kinds of good fun stuff in this that everybody should read if you have any interest in Norse mythology.
Or you just like good art.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, P.K. Russell's a beast.
This was accidental based on what our book of the week is going to be, our roundtable book.
Okay.
But Jeff Lemire, May's book number 2.
Oh, God, yeah.
Jeff Lemire on his creator-owned stuff always has a way of connecting with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure lots of people feel that way, but like a good musician, it connects with lots of people in different ways. And this book continues to do that. And he always amazes me how he finds those places in your soul to reach in and kind of pull on those red strings, as it would be in this case.
Man, I'm not a parent, and I cried. Like, I openly cried after reading that issue. Like no shame, like straight up just got misty-eyed, like cried. So I can only imagine what somebody who is a parent, grandparent.
Well, even if you've dealt with loss in any way, even in the reverse, if you've lost a parent or a grandparent, you could connect in the same way, go in the opposite direction. You know, he plays on tragedy. Really well. And of course, it's Jeff Lemire. So, you know, the art is in Jeff Lemire style, which is both beautiful and haunting.
Yeah.
I guess is how I would put it.
It's a good way to put it.
Yep.
I love it. So, Matt, what'd you read this week?
Also tugging at the heartstrings from AWA, Upshot, number 6 of 8 of Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal, by one Garth Ennis, Goran Sedzuka, and Miroslav Mirva. This is about a time-traveling criminal, young woman. Her sister is a time cop. After she's apprehended by her sister, shenanigans ensue. They're now teaming up, and they come across a morbidly obese man who's abusing his time-traveling abilities. So he now dead. So
not anymore.
Tune in for the feels, kids. Also, on my short stack from Boom Studios, number 9, We Only Find Them When They're Dead, by Al Ewing and Simone DeMeo. This is a very interesting concept comic. The story progresses over thousands of years.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Frank Herbert's Dune.
Yeah.
I'll stop there. And but yeah, it's a unique story. It's very well done, as we would assume anything Al Ewing and Simone DeMeo is attached to. And then number 3 on my short stack is Dark Tales: The Call of Cthulhu, a graphic novel, illustrated by Dave Shepard. I was very excited to learn about this book. Craig told me about this, and I was like, give me this now, and there won't be trouble. Really wish I'd have saved my energy.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I hope nobody reads this and thinks this is a straight-up adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft, because what it does not convey is the writing talent and cleverness of the story. This is very simplified, very watered down, and one of the most egregious things about it is it does not include one of, if not maybe the most famous lines from an H.P. Lovecraft work. And that from the Call of Cthulhu, the quote is, "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die." Not in the book.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Because what that phrase means is not spelled out. You really have to think about the phrase in context of the story, not in this work.
Have to send somebody a letter.
It's not worth my paper.
I'm sorry you're disappointed.
It was disappointing to me that he was disappointed in this. I haven't read my copy of it yet.
Okay.
So him telling me how disappointed he was made me just kind of sink it down a little bit. But this is the same publisher that did the books I talked about a couple weeks ago, The Hound of Baskerville and the Retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which I enjoyed both of those and thought they were well done. So unfortunate. I thought maybe I'd found a little nugget of a publisher that was doing.
Well, one work doesn't nullify that.
I'm going to keep trying the other ones, but it does.
Well, and as we say all the time, it's subjective. You might read the same thing and love it. It's a lot of times. I think managing expectations is a.
I don't have the. I haven't read the prose version of that, so I probably wouldn't be as offended.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the right word or not. As Matt is with it.
Well, what's just so disappointing is that people will read this that have not read the H.P. Lovecraft work, and it waters it down and simplifies it so much. People are going to read this and be like, "Well, I don't fucking understand why that story's so iconic." That's what's going to happen with this because this is just so meh.
Man, there you have it.
That's going to be a blip. This is just meh.
Yeah,
that's also the title of this episode.
Half a star.
This is
meh.
Just meh.
That's what we strive for. As long as we're staying in the meh, we're good.
There used to be a Chinese restaurant called OK Chinese Buffet. Not good, not bad.
That's the only one that's ever been honest. Then
yeah, OK Chinese. Buffet.
This is like you know what you're getting into.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you have any expectations beyond OK food. It was right there on the sign for you.
You're going for quantity, not quality at a buffet.
I appreciate truth in advertising. So my short stack. So I'm going to start off with a little nugget, a little gem that was gifted to me by, interestingly enough, our comic book store proprietor. And this was published sometime in the early 2000s. And it is a collection of political cartoons that came out in Arkansas post Mike Huckabee's governorship, like right at the end, and it goes through and it is now, to be fair, this is paid for by the Democratic Party of Arkansas, of which Mike Huckabee was not a member, if you all remember, and it kind of gives you a timeline of some of Mike Huckabee's mishaps, drama. Failings as a governor throughout his governorship, and it's called Cartoons from a Fabled Land Someone Once Called a Banana Republic, and that comes from a quote that Mike Huckabee said when he was running for governor, that he was complaining about the elections, and this was back in 2000, election fraud and stuff like that, and he called Arkansas elections a banana republic. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because the playbook hasn't changed. And so it goes through and it talks about some of Mike Huckabee's drama, such as where he calls the elections a banana republic, and where our own citizens steal elections in broad daylight. Where he goes through and he sues the ethics commission because he's taking bribes and gifts and not reporting them, and he wants to be able to take bribes and gifts from anything. How he had his wife run for Secretary of State and found places for his sons in his governor staff because nepotism, and all through him taxing nursing home beds for private nursing homes, but then telling people it wasn't a tax, and having elderly people who couldn't afford the nursing homes get sent home to die. People's lined up, former teachers lined up in soup kitchens because he cut all the taxes and created a deficit and couldn't balance his budgets, and including probably the most famous one where he had this new computer system that was supposed to help with the treasury and everything else that just didn't work. And he spent half of his governorship complaining about how people shouldn't be paying attention to how he no longer had a balanced budget and how the governorship is just wasting money. Interesting little collection of political cartoons. I love political cartoons. I own a couple of different original ones. I think they're really cool.
I'm so shocked.
It's something
Are you shocked by that, Matt?
Shocked.
It's something that we don't pay a lot of attention to in talking about comics, but I love political comics. So, look, if you read this, and like I said, if it sounds really familiar, it's because it should. It's because the playbook hasn't changed, and there's a Huckabee running for governor of Arkansas right now that is using her dad's playbook, and that should scare the fuck out of anybody who votes. And it should encourage you to go vote because it could get bad.
And on a personal level, Huckabee, when he got out of office, when he was in office, was a very large man.
Yeah.
When he got out of office, he lost a lot of weight.
Yep.
And then got on all the radio stations and told people he had the cure for diabetes.
Yeah.
People, there is no cure for diabetes. I don't care if it's type 1 or type 2. There is no cure. And
No, he got his stomach stapled. That's what he did.
even losing weight doesn't cure.
No.
You're just controlling it. You're not curing it. So, anyways, that was a big deal for me on a personal level.
Yeah.
Because, people hear that and they go, well, if you would lose some weight, you wouldn't be diabetic anymore.
I know skinny people who are real thin who struggle with their diabetes.
Anyways, that was just a little thing on me, and one reason I dislike him outside of politics.
Yeah. Well, and so this little collection, from a subjective standpoint, lines up with a lot. Like, it's confirmation bias for me, and I'll fully admit that. From an objective standpoint, it's really interesting to see some of the same arguments, and things haven't changed. Second on my short stack is a OGN that I received as part of a Kickstarter. It's actually the second, and I talked about the first the first OGN in the series on the show before. It's called Pass Me By. The former one was Pass Me By Gone Fishing. This is 2 Pass Me By Electric Vice. The main character, this guy named Ed, if you read the first one, he's an older gentleman who has problems with dementia. This one goes back to the 70s, where Ed was a little local guitarist who was playing in country bands and dive bars and just wasn't satisfied, where he hooks up with a kind of a disco-esque rock group, very Bowie oriented, and goes on tour with them. The lead singer is this very androgynous queer individual, and Ed develops feelings for this person. And it's a story, number one, about music, and number two, about the just kind of the queer spectrum and where he fits on it. If you read the first issue, this one seems to have kind of a happy ending because everything goes where you want it to, but it's bookended by the first OGN, where that Ed in his elder years has dementia, which, as I said on the show before, is my greatest fear. So as somebody who legitimately has nightmares about waking up and not realizing who my loved ones are, this is hard for me to read, and being terrified that I'm going to lose my memories. That was tough. Third, but not least of which on my series is Strange Academy's Doctor Strange Presents Numero Uno. This is a one-shot by Scotty Young and Mike Del Mundo. Love Mike Del Mundo. Took me a little bit to have Mike Del Mundo's art grow on me. When I first saw him on Thor, I was like, what's happening? It seems kind of muddled. But when you realize what he's doing, it just kind of clicks, and you're like, oh man, he's doing so much with perspective and focus, and it's just crazy. So this picks up as a tangent to a story that we read on the show, The Death of Doctor Strange. Kind of spins off that, and it's showing the impact that Doctor Strange's death has on the world. This, of course, that Doctor Strange is running the Strange Academy, and they have all these kids who are part of it, 2 of which are the sons of a little Asgardian villainess known as the Enchantress. And the Enchantress made a deal with somebody, a demon back in the day, that she would give her firstborn child to them if they would do her some favors, because she wasn't ever planning on having kids, right? Turns out she had 2 of them. Rumpelstiltskin action happens. He shows up, takes the kid. Brother's a little upset about this and has to go work with his mom, who he does not like, to go get the kid back. And all of this, again, gravitating around the death of Mr. Doctor Strange. It was really great. I loved it. Had a lot of fun as a little one-shot goes. It's cool if you're not reading
He had a lot of fun with kids being abducted.
Well, but there is a happy ending, right?
We do not endorse that as a show. Craig and I can say that at least.
And he likes happy endings.
That we can endorse.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's cool because in most Scotty Young books, there is nuance here. The Enchantress has to do some explaining and said, "Hey, look, there's a reason behind this." And I know you and I don't see eye to eye.
Explaining to do.
Yeah, I have not been the best mother, and I'm not pretending to be, but I never didn't care about you. So it was a cool Scotty Young book, as a lot of things are, and it's Scotty Young, right? He can do this whole, kind of like Jeff Lemire does, where he gives you a good story, but he's going to pack some feelings in it, and there's a bigger picture involved in that he's driving a point home. So if you're not reading Strange Academy, I don't know that you would enjoy this, because I don't know that you would know what was happening or who these people were. If you're not reading Doctor Strange, I don't know why you would care. Or if you're not reading The Death of Doctor Strange, I don't know why you would care. But it's still a little one shot. Pick it up, give it a chance. And it's got some other people that play into it, and they give you a bunch of these little pinups of some of the other students in the back from different artists, which is nice. It's real nice. So, you know what else is real nice? any book that is written by Jeff Lemire. To a point. You're right. Okay. 90% of the books written by Jeff Lemire. And when you add in Mr. Dustin Nguyen into that mix, you've almost got a collection. And I'm even saying this as somebody who hasn't read... which came first, Descender or Ascender?
Descender.
Descender came first. Yeah, I haven't read Ascender yet. So, but you mix in Mr. Dustin Nguyen, you've got a pretty winning combination. And those two individuals teamed back up over at the Distinguished Competition, because we're going to talk about DC again, to give us a book that I thoroughly enjoyed, which is not surprising considering I'm a complete mark for Jeff Lemire's work. But that is Robin and Batman #1. Before we get too into this, I do want to say that there's no real way to talk about any of these things with what we liked and disliked about them, or to give any type of criticism, both good or bad critiques of a thing, without discussing some of the events that happened. So here's a spoiler warning. If you haven't read Robin and Batman by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, get off your ass, go find it, download it off Comixology, buy it from your local shop, read it, commit it to memory, put it in your heart, keep it there always, and come back and listen to what we have to say about it. Now that's just my opinion. My fellow co-hosts may have different opinions on it, and I'm curious from like a 30,000 foot view what you all thought of this book.
I'm conflicted about this book.
Okay.
It was well executed, of course. The artwork I loved the artwork in this book. I really liked seeing what Dustin Nguyen did in the superhero universe. Mm-hmm. I would really like to see just his rough pencils for this stuff, by the way. But yeah, I have conflicting feels, and I'll go into those.
Okay.
Dustin Nguyen drawing Batman and Robin, or Robin and Batman is the case. He's doing the Lord's work. I really enjoyed the execution of this story.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to be the book that it is, but that's on me, not on them. I don't know that I need another Dick Grayson Robin origin story.
Yeah.
Or a retelling of that origin story, or how he became Robin. But without getting too far into it, because we haven't discussed it yet. Having said that, I did enjoy it. So
yeah, and I can see that. I had similar. There was a part of me that was like, okay, are we going to see the pearls again? But that's just it's those moments over and over again. So I get that. I can see that. So, what is the story, you might be wondering at home? If you have read it, let's kind of recap it just a smidgen, and we'll get into it. So the book opens up with Dick Grayson, new to the world of Batman, just recently kind of lost his parents, and having been adopted into the Bat family, to both the Wayne family and the Bat family, is trying to find a way to settle in, trying to figure out where he fits into all of this, like the whole thing, and dealing with grief and all this other stuff. So he's writing a journal. He thinks to himself, you know what, maybe this will help me work out some things. Probably a suggestion by Alfred. That's just seems to, all good suggestions kind of come from Alfred. So he's writing in this journal, and he's writing about what he thought it was going to be like being a sidekick, like what he expected versus what it is. And there's almost this sense of disillusionment to it, like it's like the shine has wore off on it because it's work, and he's kind of constantly feels like he's just being like reprimanded, and he's a disappointment. So it's kind of just another like thing knocking him down, because he's new, because he's a kid, because he's working with Captain Angst, who is Batman, who's very hard to please in any manner, and so he's not sure what he wants to be, or what he can be. And part of this is, again, managing expectations, because he's a kid, but he doesn't see himself as a kid because he's been through a lot of grief. He's had to grow up very fast. So as he's writing through this journal, he's exploring these things. And kind of what's happening, where he's at in this space, is Batman is just starting to take him out on the street, and to kind of let him do his own thing, kind of let him get a feel for what he's doing. And so from the journal, we go to a scene where Robin is fighting these kind of thugs who have been robbing meat. They're like hijacking a meat truck. And he's by himself. He's flying solo. But Batman's watching over him. Batman's going to be keeping an eye on him, and he's talking to him out of an earpiece. And as Robin's fighting these guys, Batman's critiquing him on what he's doing. He's like, hey, you're you should have done this, and Robin's like, hey dude, I'm busy. like I got this, just kind of back up and let me handle it. And he's like, well, you're missing the forest through the trees, kid. Like, you're not seeing the big picture. You just missed this, you just missed this. And Robin's
which is always fun to do, right? Your job with your boss
right.
in your ear telling you how you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and even when it's somebody who is right, it's still frustrating, and especially from Robin, who just wants to hear that he's doing a good job one time. And interesting enough, he's not in his Robin outfit. Like, he's in this kind of gray, black, and blue outfit, ninja outfit, reminiscent of what will become his Nightwing suit. It's a very looser version, but same color patterns. But yeah, he's telling Robin that, like, you're missing all these things, and Robin finally thinks he's got the one up on him. He's looking at these three dudes who he's just laid out, these three big grown men who he's just whipped all kinds of ass on, and then Batman comes out of the darkness and just lays out a fourth dude that Robin missed. It was the driver of the truck. And so Batman's just like, see, like I told you, like he would have had you. And of course Robin's like, no, dude, I would have got him. Like quit. Like cut me some slack, dude. Like I had that. I had it covered. And Batman's like, nah, son. No, you didn't. I had to come in and save you. And I can't always do that. So they go back to the Batcave. It's a very awkward ride home. Delivered wonderfully by Dustin Nguyen in this like 4-panel page, where it's just quiet. It's in lots of reds and blacks where they're just not talking. And Bruce is doing that tough love thing where he pretends like he doesn't have any patience for what's happening. And I feel like a lot of parents. Again, I'm not one, so I don't know. But there's this like fine line between where you make the kid feel like you're just out of patience, but what you're actually doing is actually possessing a lot of patience, and even though you're making them feel like you're not, you're being very restrained. And I felt like that was what Bruce was doing in this moment, because he's really looking out for Dick. Like he wants Dick to become the type of person that just pushes forward.
We're not doing phrasing anymore.
Look, his name is Dick. I realize connotations. I don't care. I'm going to call him Dick. But what comes out of this is Bruce wants to pull. He wants to pull Robin out. I got that one. I'm gonna do that. He wants to bench Robin for a little bit. He wants Robin to kind of like step.
He wants
back.
to put that dick on a shelf.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 12-year-olds. Yeah. Let's just.
I'm not. I was doing okay until y'all started giggling. But he doesn't like. He tells him, he's like, "You're not ready for the field. You're not. I can't just be hanging my dick out like this." Dun-dun-dun.
Mm-hmm,
see what I did there?
He's looking out for Dick.
But he's looking out for him because he doesn't want to see him get hurt. And he's just giving him a tongue lashing. And they're in the back. I hate both of you. Alfred comes in, and Alfred's kind of had enough at this point. Like he just kind of like moves Robin to the side and like kind of leans in on Bruce for once. He's like, "Hey, dude, like back up. Like, you're." Consider where you went and what you've been through, and then think about what you're doing to this kid. But Bruce isn't having that either. Bruce pushes back. He's like, "Bruh, you're overstepping. He's going to get himself killed, and it's going to be my fault. I need him to be a soldier, not a child. I don't want to come back with a dead child." And to the response, Alfred comes back and says, "Oh, so you'd rather come home with a dead soldier? Okay, cool, bro." And that punches Bruce right in the heart because he realizes what he's done and what he's doing. And they kind of split from there. This is what happens at night. During the day, Dick has to go to school. He has to go be a child, even though he's been through so much and he doesn't think of himself, and he hates it. And look, number one, on paper, what kid wouldn't? You're living the life of a superhero. Your adopted dad is a billionaire. Why do you have to do these mundane things? But most of why he hates it because when he's at school, he's bored. And when he's bored, he has to think about these things. He remembers his parents' death. He remembers why he was orphaned. And he hates that. He doesn't want to be that person. He wants to distance himself from kind of what he's lost. But the bell rings, school's out. And he's hoping that Bruce is going to be there to pick him up. But it's Alfred. He's kind of disappointed. And as they're riding home, they kind of talk about it. And Alfred kind of breaks the ice. He's like, "Look, I know you don't want to hear this, but I think Bruce is right. I know you don't want to hear that from me, and Dick isn't having it, but Alfred's like, just so you know, when you go home, your little ninja outfit's not going to be there. I destroyed it. It's gone. And this pisses Robin off to no end. So when Robin gets home, he was like, you know what? Fuck these grown men. Who are they to tell me what to do? They're hypocrites. They do their own thing. I'm not having it. So he goes and he pulls out some, apparently a lot of kids keep fabric under their bed. I don't know why, but he goes and pulls out some.
It's because he says why.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. He goes and he pulls out these colors, and it's the red and it's the yellow. And he starts cutting them up, and he makes his own Robin. Like, he makes the first Robin outfit. And then that night, when Batman leaves, he watches, because that's what he does. He's trained by a ninja. He's pretty damn good. And he starts following Bruce throughout the city. Now, Bruce, after just having given Dick a scolding for not seeing the forest for the trees, jumps in and realizes himself that he's, again, done the exact thing that he just bitched out this kid for. He missed the forest for the trees. He didn't see the big picture. These thugs that they were fighting at the beginning of the story weren't just there by happenstance. There has been a number of meat truck robberies. So, meat truck thievery. I mean, if you've seen The Price of Meat, yeah. But this is part of a larger pattern. And what he realizes is he doesn't think that they're just stealing meat. They're stealing food for a particular purpose. He follows these dudes down into the sewers. Well, Robin's trailing him. Robin jumps down in the sewers with him. But in the maze of the Gotham underground, he loses them because he's trying to keep his distance. And as he's kind of sneaking through, he's like, "Hey, let me follow my gut. I've been trained for this. Let me just pick a direction and go there." So he does, and he sees these guys. Robin does. He sees these big thugs with their meat, and he's like, "Hey, aren't those just the dudes that I got locked up? Like, what the fuck?" Batman calls up Gordon and has them released. Obviously, it's part of what happened. And he's just like, okay, like this is weird. But he hears something behind him, and he turns around. He's like, oh, maybe Batman just circled back, but it's not Batman. It's Killer Croc. And here we have a only half-ass trained Robin face to face with one of the most deadliest creatures in Gotham in his home. Like, he's on his home court. And look, this looks like a morsel to Killer Croc. He's about to eat. He's about to eat this kid. And he's just like, what, number one, what are you wearing? Like, what is this, this red and yellow? And you're like, is that green underwear? Like, what are you doing, bro? And look, this is like that dire straits for Robin. But last moment, as is wont to happen, Bruce comes in. Batman jumps in and starts fighting, to save him. And is like, telling Robin to run. And as he's trying to protect him, the Croc gets a good punch in, breaks a couple ribs. But it's Bruce, right? He's prepared for a lot of things, and so he's able to escape. They don't necessarily beat the Croc. Well, they beat the shit out of him, but they don't capture him. They kind of leave him there, and he gets Robin out of there. They go back. They're back in the cave. They're back at the mansion. Bruce is, just like, number one, what are you wearing? Like that was the only thing he had right. Like, you look ridiculous. Why aren't you wearing black? Like, he wouldn't have seen you if you had some dark colors. I did better than this. I told you to stay at home. I told you you weren't ready for this. And they're kind of arguing back and forth. And he was like, look, I was actually going to give something to you. And I was going to. I know why you picked these colors. And I was gonna do this for you, but you just proved to me that you're not ready. So you just defeated yourself. And there's this break. There's this almost wedge driven between their relationship right now that the second issue is going to pick up on. That's kind of where this one culminates. This is going to be a 3-part series. I cannot wait to get my hands on the other 2. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. I've said it on the show before. I stick with it. I'm a mark for Jeff Lemire. I am, subjectively, my personal opinion, I think Jeff Lemire is probably the most adept, most flexible, one of the most talented storytellers that we have working in comics today. He's a storytelling god to me, like, flat out. So I have a hard time being objective with a lot of his stories. Now, there are some that, like we've talked about, that I was like, yeah, this just didn't turn out great. But he has elevated himself with me, and it's a mix of being a fanboy, but also like, look, that's, we've talked about these stories and we've talked about things, and he is a great. So I really do have a hard time just not singing its praises, but that's on me. That's why I love him. I love the guy. I can't be a neutral party.
He loves it.
So
what is your issue with the? I totally get it.
That's what I was going to go there. I would love to hear from people who I think are arguably more objective. You gentlemen, like some of your thoughts about the book.
Go ahead.
So my hang up with the book is I felt like Batman's characterization was off. I felt like it was really off. I didn't like the way he talked to Alfred as a servant instead of a partner. He talked down to Alfred. That's not their dynamic. Batman, the way Batman talked to Robin, I felt totally off. Batman was this just felt like a guy in a bat suit as opposed to who Batman really is. So that was the biggest hang up with me. What I did like, I mean, obviously I mentioned the art. I really like the character Killer Croc. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's underutilized. What I really like about the character Killer Croc is he's just a big dumb thug. And what's charming to me is he constantly thinks he can take on Batman, and he's
it's charming. Charming is the word.
It's just, it's something about that is just comical to me and compelling. Is he just doesn't learn that he is no match for Batman. He's not a criminal mastermind. He does stupid little crimes to make money, and yet,
or to get food in this case.
Or whatever it happens to be. Yet Batman shows up, kicks his ass repeatedly, and Killer Croc never learns. Something about the simplicity of that amongst all the other villains that are like, obviously the Joker's an obvious example, then you've got the Riddler. Everybody's like counterbalancing Batman. Killer Croc's not that guy. No. He's just a dumb thug.
Street-level thug, basically, that just happens to be a crocodile.
He's not organized. He's not clever. Something about that is just really fun to me. So I really like the character. But my only real hang-up is the characterization of Batman just felt really off.
Okay. So I'll give you the Batman and Alfred, because I, too, had an issue with the way he talked there. Because Alfred, if anything, is not a servant. He's a father figure for Bruce. And Bruce doesn't ever treat him like he's just a butler. He may say, could you make me a sandwich, or could you bring me some tea, or, I'll take my dinner down here type thing. But he doesn't ever talk down to Alfred. There's a level of respect to Alfred. So that was a little bit of a problem. The way he talked to Robin, I can write off a little bit that this is his first ward. Mm-hmm. And he's taking in a preteen kid and maybe is making some mistakes that we don't see in modern Batman. So I could write that off a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's not to say I disagree with Matt. I can just justify that a little bit in my mind.
Right.
And like I said, if anything, for me, it was just that I don't necessarily need a retelling of Dick specifically, of his origin as Robin.
Yeah.
But having said that, I enjoyed it. I'm going to enjoy where the story goes. There's obviously something going on where they're with Croc. We're going to see how that all plays out, or, what's going on there. I think there was one subtlety that you missed in there that needs to be pointed out. Robin he didn't go and dress up as Robin to defy Batman. He dressed up as Robin because he thought it was a test. He thought Bruce was testing him. And so he was going to prove that So that's a minor subtlety, but it is a subtlety that I think makes a difference in the characterization. Mm-hmm. Because all he wants to do is prove that he's ready.
He wants to impress him.
Yeah, he just wants to prove that, hey, I can do this too. If you hadn't interfered, that guy may have surprised me, but I still would have taken him out.
Yeah.
And if you weren't talking to my damn ear the whole time, I probably would have not been surprised by him. So I love the outfit they have for Robin.
Yeah.
The one that both he creates out of his parents' costumes, and which is why he had the fabric under his bed.
Yeah.
Not trying to correct you.
No.
Yeah. And also the one that Bruce had made for him. I love that it's not the fairy boots and the original one that kind of gets made fun of all the time. It's kind of an updated version. And again, Lemire and Nguyen working together is just always going to be a solid entry into anything. So
Well, so the moment where he tells, like I said, Alfred steps in and Bruce is like, pushing back against him and tells him, like, you need to back up and I'll just take my dinner down here. Like that part did, like, I had to stop and like contemplate that panel for a little bit. And had this been another writer, I probably would have been in the same place. The way I see this story, and I think the way that it's laid out is, this is less of a Batman and Robin or Robin and Batman story. This is a story about fatherhood in a Robin and Batman outfit, and it's a multi-generational story about fatherhood, because you have Alfred, who is the grandfatherly figure. You have Bruce, who is the new father, who is terrified of fucking up, and in being terrified of fucking up is making some of his own mistakes just in spite of himself. And you have the son, you have the grandson, who just really wants to impress. Like it's a series of misfortunes. I say misfortunes. It's a series of misunderstandings. And
can I counterpoint that?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't disagree with that, but I think when you're playing with characters that already exist, changing their personality to retell a story in the way you want it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
I think you have to be true to the personalities of the characters you're writing if they already exist. If this wasn't Batman and Robin, if it was, Nightbat and whatever, what I mean. If it was a different duo, it would you could write it how you wanted to. I broke mad.
It was the only Nightbat and Sparrow.
Thank you. I was looking for another small bird to put in there.
The only thing I'll say about that, like if you go back and read, so take for instance Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman story, especially
Do we have to?
Well, I liked 2.5 arcs out of that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the ones where Batman first comes back to Gotham after going out and being in the military and doing all that other
Year
stuff.
Zero.
Yeah. So and if you're looking at that and the way that he comes back, him and Alfred don't have that relationship that they grow into yet, and there's some of this same thing there. Like he does push back against Alfred, and he has to learn. And so to me, this is a story about learning, and I think that they pull a little bit from that. But again, I see where you guys are at, and I think that that is 1,000%. I'm looking at the other thing from getting personal. I've told my dad to fuck off. I've told my father to fuck off before.
So here's the thing. We're not talking about arguing or disagreeing. We're talking about talking down.
Right.
Well, that's the difference.
I've talked down to my father.
As a servant, that's not the Batman. That's not the Batman and Alfred dynamic. It's just not.
No. But it is oftentimes the father and son dynamic. That does not mean I don't love my own father, and I was largely being stupid and wrong when I did it. And I think that's part of it. Like this is a way that these characters are eventually going to grow into what we know of them. To me. And again, I think that you guys are 100% right. That's not a Batman and Robin story, and it takes away from Batman and Robin. To me, the enrichment is in that other side of the story, and I think that's why. But as I said, I have a really hard time being objective when it comes to these because I'm looking more at the emotions.
I love Jeff Lemire, and I love the way he writes the human condition, and I think he does it better than 99% of other comic writers. I've said that multiple times on the show. But again, when it comes down to playing with somebody else's properties, somebody else's characters, you're limited by what already exists for that character. Now, granted, this takes place out of continuity. It's its own thing. I'm willing to let it breathe for what it is. I don't hate this book in any stretch. I'm going to be getting all 3 issues, and I'm going to read and love all 3 issues, I'm sure. But there's some issues there that you can't just ignore.
No.
Yeah. So, I love the cover that Matt and I have.
Yeah.
Can I look at yours
Absolutely.
for a second?
Yeah, mine's the Jeff Lemire cover. I think y'all have the Nguyen cover.
Yeah,
I
the
believe
Lemire cover is great too.
Yeah, there were some excellent covers for this. So, no, I do, I completely get where y'all are at with it.
And again, that's not a knock on your take of it. I mean, art in any form is subjective, and what you read when you're reading a story and what you bring out of it, a lot of times has to do with the baggage you bring into the story. And I think that's what you're saying a little bit with your history with your dad. You're bringing that baggage in, and so you relate to it quite well.
Yeah.
Again, it's just me when you're not to keep beating the same horse, but it's you're playing with somebody else's characters.
But it makes sense too, because I think we've talked about this. I'm less hung up on continuity than I think some other people are, than I think y'all are. I think, like we've said, Craig, you're not crazy about like Elseworld tales and one shots and stuff like that. And I think Matt, to a point too. Like I'm less constrained about that, and so it makes sense that y'all would have those issues and I don't. And please always know that whenever like we're talking about these things, it's more me explaining my point of view and not like pushing back and saying y'all are wrong. And I never take it as y'all are. Well, Matt a little bit tells me I'm wrong, and that's fine. And
no, I mean, I think we're allowed to disagree. I think that's what gives this show some bite or some teeth to it.
Yeah.
Is that we can disagree and we walk out, we still love each other. But this, again, it's good. I enjoyed the story. I'm anxious to see where they go. For $6, you get about 40 pages.
Yeah, it's not a regular size book.
So yeah, you're paying twice as much, but you're getting extra for it. So, or a little under twice as much as you normally pay, but you're getting quite a bit more. And I don't mind. Of anything, I enjoy the Black Label Batman stuff probably a little bit. And this isn't Black Label, but it's that same concept. It's out of continuity.
I'm surprised it's not Black Label, actually.
Yeah. So
I wish it was bigger. I always wish books like this were like that prestige
I mean, anytime
format
you
size.
can see Dustin Nguyen's art bigger, it's going to be better in my opinion. But maybe we'll get an oversized edition of this at the end. But
well, you just said Dustin Nguyen, so I want to, like, we have talked a lot about what Jeff Lemire is doing in the story, and we would be remiss if we didn't spend a little bit of time just like, obviously we're going to heap praise on the art because it is Dustin Nguyen, but just kind of like talking about specifically some of the things that he does visually that make us gravitate to his style. One of the things that Dustin Nguyen does, like even on the front page, you get this 12-panel grid, and it's just different perspectives, like different snapshots that, are just these minute things, from the R stitched onto his, to the Robin outfit that he inevitably makes for himself, to, you see a pair of hands missing another hands that you immediately know are his parents, like they're slipping. The teeth, like they give you a kind of a foreshadowing of where they're going. And dude, his action sequences are spectacular. And it's, watercolor is a hard medium to control. It's by nature fluidic. But he just does such an incredible job, like giving you the different camera angles and showing you these moments. There's a scene where, Dick is basically sweeping the leg of one of these guys, and he's got one foot and one arm planted, and just the way the angles and the limbs are askew, just the kinetic energy that he pours into these pages are stunning. And one of my favorite panels, out of a couple, are where Batman first shows up, and like it's like glaring at him through whatever Gotham City street funk mist is existing in the alleyways, where he's like standing behind the tire of the Batmobile. Like it's just
that's a really
shrouded
cool
and like that, like just doing so much work to evoke emotion. And if you look at the page layouts, Dustin Nguyen is not a artist who often repeats himself unless he has a point. And two of the ways that he does repeat himself in this book are these two different scenes where Dick is driving, one with Batman after he gets scolded, and it's a very quiet, he's very upset, and there's a lesson to be learned in the silence. And then you see another one.
Well, before you go on from that page, I absolutely love this page because as a father, we've all done that. where every father alive has done that, and you're sitting there, and if you notice these 4 panels, Batman doesn't move at all, and it's very much a don't talk to me, don't say a word, just sit there and sulk because you're in trouble.
Yeah, as a son, we've all done this too.
And and the colors, the use of the color from the light coming in through the red windows of the Batmobile, it's just, to me, that's just an absolutely amazing page. You feel the emotion in that page, which is,
you juxtapose that with the 4 pages over, where it's literally the same page layout.
Yep.
It's Dick riding with Alfred after being picked up from school, and just pushing forward, and Alfred's just doing that same thing. Alfred doesn't move, his expression doesn't change, but they're actually talking, and it's just this grandfatherly moment, man.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was spectacular. So on my pull list, go pick it up, check it out. You got Craig's getting the next 2 issues. Matt, you in for it, or you just passing?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm torn on this one.
Okay,
the
I can see why.
It's worth the price of admission for the art alone. Even if you just want to flip through and see some amazing layouts and great color work. He uses those very loose lines that he uses. I'm with Matt. I would love to see his pencil work, though, before he paints this stuff. Even going back to Ascender and Descender to see the line work on that would be amazing. But
I want to see a Driller crossover.
Batman fighting Driller, that would be amazing.
Or teamed up with Driller.
No, Driller is a killer.
He is a killer. Batman ain't had that. I mean, what's it like his teammate Full Killer or whatever he is now. He puts up with that. So I would love to hear from one of you guys about a book you read this week that I might not have read.
I'll go. You guys remember when I talked about Basket Full of Heads for like every issue that came out?
Yeah.
Vaguely. Yeah.
Just added a new head to the basket each episode.
Yeah. She found her dad's Viking axe, and the axe, when she would use it on somebody, it inevitably would lop off their heads. The head would continue to live while the body died. So this book, that took place in 1984. Or, I'm sorry, 1983. This book starts in 1983 at approximately the same time that story is taking place. And it's a house with an elderly couple and their 2, I'm going to say college-age student children living there. Mm-hmm. And it's full of artifacts. And it gets broken into. And they want this knife. And the son's going, none of this stuff has any value except for a museum. Just leave us alone. And, no, we're here for the knife. Yeah, we want money, but that's not why we're here. Give us the damn knife. So they give him the knife, and it's the knife of veneer. And so they stab the dad to see if it works, and he immediately goes into a coma. He falls to the ground, goes into a coma, which is what the power of this knife is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I'm reading this, and I'm going, okay, well, this is going to be a different story that takes place in this universe with a different weapon. And they end up killing the rest of the family. The police show up. The dad is only able to move his finger and has made a note in blood on the floor. They don't know what it means because it's it's runic, so I'm assuming it's in some sort of Viking runes. But then it goes back to the island that the last book took place on, and we have a new couple moving in, young couple, and they're being taken to the house they're renting, and the landlord's kind of showing it. They're just going to be there for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. She's an author, and at least this is a story they're portraying. Turns out they're doing some investigating. There's 2 problems going on in this town. One is that takes place on Brody Island, so you should know that first of all, which is where the first one took place on. I didn't understand that before, but now we do because there's a 20-foot great white that's attacking people, and beaches are all closed.
Okay.
So, Sheriff Brody from Jaws, it all makes sense now. That, and there's a motorcycle gang in town, and just stay away from them. They're just, if there's going to be any problems, it's going to be this motorcycle gang. Well, immediately they go to town. The dude goes over and she's like, don't cause any problems. He's like, hey, I'm just a motorcycle enthusiast. I'm just taking notes. So he's out there and he's looking at the bike and he's taking notes. And course, the bikers come out and they don't like this at all. And the one looks at his notes and goes, "Why are you writing down our license plate numbers?" The guy's like, "Oh, shit." And he punches the motorcycle.
Punches the motorcycle?
No, he punches the
motorcyclist.
Motorcyclist.
The enthusiast.
Yeah. The enthusiast punches the motorcyclist.
Oh, they're two different people.
Yes.
Got
The enthusiast is the author's husband. That's pretend husband, whatever. The investigator.
So the guy who just likes the motorcycles comes out and punches the biker.
Got it.
The biker comes out and is like, "Dude, what's going on? Why are you looking at our bikes? What?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm just taking notes. I'm an enthusiast." And he, yeah, no. And he starts a fight with the enthusiast. The enthusiast punches him, takes off running. He jumps into the water to escape them. Well, he jumps into the water and the water's glowing. He's like, "Oh, fuck." So he gets out. His girl picks him up. I'm assuming they're not really married based on what's happening in the story. He's like, "Yeah, this is glowing." And she's like, "Okay, well, let's go back in the morning." So they go in the dark hours of morning and go scuba diving in the water where there's a 20-foot great white. And they dive down and they find the axe from the first story. And they come up, and as she's climbing, she actually went down, he stayed on the boat. When she's climbing back into the boat, of course, the shark attacks. Well, they chop off the shark's head with the axe. And guess what happens? The shark head's still, like, chomping. So now they're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with the axe. So we have that. We have the story of the knife. You know, it's bloody. It's gory.
Sounds like it.
It is not written by Joe Hill, by the way. Which the first one was. This is a DC Black Label book from Hill House Comics. It's Rio Ewers, Tom Fowler, and Bill Crabtree.
Tom Fowler.
Yeah,
That'll get you in the door.
yeah. So it's very well done. It's Fowler playing in the Joe Hill universe, and it's done really well.
Seems like these people make a series of bad decisions.
Well, I think they're investigating what happened to the other people from before, and I think they're there under the guise of she's a writer, so hey, she's going to be investigating stuff around here because she's a writer.
Yeah,
and the husband's like, "I'm just her cheerleader," and he's like, "This is 1984. They're an interracial couple." He's like, "I'm just here to cheer her on and blow." And the landlord goes, "Well, isn't that special? What do you do when you're not playing with your pom-poms?" So, there's a whole lot of like...
I mean, he's a dick, but that's a good comeback.
It's a whole lot of like, in the 80s, you're dealing with an interracial couple. You're dealing with gender reversal.
Yeah.
So it's... it's playing on some tropes and some fun stuff, but it's going to be gory. The cover is absolutely stunning. There's a refrigerator, and by the way, the refrigerator's in the boathouse. It's a 1950s refrigerator that the landlord ensures them will keep their bait and their beer cold.
One of them Frigidaires.
Yes,
sir.
And it's fun. I'm glad I picked it up and am reading it because. Who doesn't like axes that chop off people's heads and the people stay alive?
Only thing is
I can't imagine the knife I'm assuming they're going to use to make the heads comatose. But that's just me projecting my own thoughts into this because there's nothing in the story that tells me what the hell's going on with the knife.
The only thing that can make it better is if the axe talked and got drunk off blood.
That would definitely make it better.
No, that would make it a ripoff, and it would be so
It came out before that. So
time means nothing.
It's a flat circle.
So yeah, if you're into Viking lore, this is probably a good one for you.
That sounds badass. Yeah. Now, do you need to have read?
Nope.
Okay.
At least at this point, if you were just picking, you'd be like, "Why is this axe keeping people? Why is the shark still alive?" But you would be in the same position as the people of the story trying to figure it out. So,
yeah. Nice.
You don't have to have any prior knowledge to read this.
Very cool. Check that out.
Yeah.
Matt, what did you read?
But you should read the first one.
I should. Yeah.
Yes.
It's always good to have context. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to talk about an old book from Avatar. This is Frank Miller's RoboCop.
Oh shit.
From 2003. This
Also deals with people getting their heads lopped off.
And the human condition.
Story, of course, is by Frank Miller. What the credits read, the sequential adaptation is by Stephen Grant. So, and then the art is by Juan Jose Rip. Have you guys seen Juan Jose Rip's art before?
I've seen a lot of Avatar, so I just don't recognize the name.
So his art is it reminds you a lot of Jeff Darrow, for example.
Okay.
A lot of that super detail type chaos type stuff. As far as I can tell, and I couldn't confirm this by my research, this seems to be the script that Frank Miller wrote for his RoboCop movie. Famously, he went to Hollywood to do movies. Yeah. RoboCop was the first thing he worked on. And what got him back into comics was what he described as just an awful experience in Hollywood, where you write something and then what seems like countless other people get their fingers on it, rewrite it. You lose complete control of your work when you turn it over. So that's why he did not stay in Hollywood, was for that reason. This, as far as I can tell, is somebody adapting his original script for his RoboCop movie, whether that be 2 or 3.
Right.
The artwork in this is very, very good. Juan Jose Rip, only thing, I've got several comics that this artist has done, and I don't know anything outside of Avatar that he's done.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is, but I just haven't seen it. It's got a very unique look. But this is set in the RoboCop universe, where things have just declined.
Well, they weren't good to start with.
If it's possible. One of the things that the story opens up with a talk show host, very reminiscent of Martin Downey Jr.
Oh, okay.
Go look it up, kids. Yeah. Very, very reminiscent of that. Frankly, it feels like an impersonation of that, cranked up to 11. It's a sensationalist, we're living in a terrible time and nobody can fix it.
That dude was so horrible.
Oh, the worst. And, and this host blames everybody for everything that's going wrong, and he's just there to make everybody look like assholes. So, it's called the Luke Spindle Show. So he's marching out, crowd's going nuts. And just to paint a picture of what kind of person this host is, as he's walking down the aisle to his fanfare, a woman jumps up, says, Luke, we love you. And he grabs her and plants a wet one on her and says, after the show, babe.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, another man in the crowd says, hey, you're nothing but a punk. And he says, cork it, Peckerwood, and punches his audience member as he walks to the stage. Detroit's taking it up the backside from crybaby cops trying to line their pockets by holding the city hostage. Tonight we'll hear from some of you victims and these pussies, as he points to the police that are guests on his show.
Jesus.
Somebody has a question in the crowd, and as he points them out, you with the tits.
Quality human being.
Yeah, I mean, yep,
it's a Frank Miller book.
just the worst kind of dirt bag sensationalist crime show, and he's insulting every single person that speaks on his show just to sensationalize. He ends up getting punched by one of the guest police officers whenever she makes a point, and his retort is nice rack. So she lands a great punch, and he just looks into the camera and says, stay tuned. It gets better.
Most satisfying moments in comics.
So, what goes on is, as the comic continues, is we see a child abduction. And what we find out is there is a child abduction ring, and there is someone selling children.
I'm sure RoboCop has a problem with this.
RoboCop does. Okay. RoboCop makes an appearance to stifle such activity, and the issue ends where he is the one of the children is being held hostage. So how is RoboCop going to respond to a child being held hostage?
I guess if you get issue number 2, you can find out.
Yeah, exactly. So
probably guns.
One thing that I really am sad of that's happened over the past few years is the demise of Avatar.
Yeah, I miss Avatar.
And looking at the art as Matt flipped through this book is one of the main reasons I'm going to miss Avatar. They hired some very, very talented artists to work on their books, even on stories that didn't deserve some of the great artists they had on them. They were not willing to pay for good art or they were willing to pay for good art in their books.
They certainly did. Yeah. Juan Jose Rip's one of them.
I mean,
great artist.
Jason Burrows.
Man.
Like it just like there's
a style, almost a Avatar style, to their art.
They really were going for a specific look.
Yep,
it's at least it sure felt that way.
Rayola Caceres did some work for them. Very talented people that they had, and so it's really been one of the things I hate seeing every month when I flip through the previews is
everything's $5.
Yeah, they're liquidating
their inventory, and it just sucks because it's great to be able to buy these books at that price.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, once this is gone,
it's gone.
It's gone. There's no more Avatar.
Yeah, and it's interesting, they gave writers like Garth Ennis and Warren Ellis free reign. Yeah. They told them you can do whatever you want. And what's interesting, if you listen to Garth Ennis talk about that, he's like, I actually had to censor my own work because of, when he would turn it over, whenever he started Crossed and then turned it over, he had to go back and say, no, this is too much. This is too much. You've gone too far. And he's like, that's an interesting situation for me to be in.
Yeah. No, so, I've heard him. Yeah. So when I went to New York Comic Con in 2012, I got my tickets through Avatar. Like I bought the big pack and, got to meet him and, sit on the front row during the panels and stuff. And one of the things I asked him then was, what are you able to do in Avatar that you haven't ever been able to do before? And he's like, literally the only thing that I ever, I knew things were off limits, so I didn't try them. The only thing I ever really tried and to get away with and couldn't was I wanted to kill a priest in Daredevil. And so just to test the waters, I killed a priest in one of my other things, and the editor came back and said, I killed a couple priests, I don't care.
Yeah.
He was like, wait, what?
Yeah. He turned a nun into a leader of the Crossed.
Yeah.
So they had no problem in Avatar, but yeah. Some of the best stories from the 90s and 2000s happen in Avatar.
They got me. They pulled me back in to comics. So Ferals, that was one of the first books I started
so
collecting,
good.
And that's why I loved them. So yeah, I'm same boat.
Good choice, Matt.
Yeah, it's definitely, and you can get these for $1. You can find these for $1 in back bins.
Yep.
They don't cost anything.
Yep.
They're good, man. And if you, like I said, get some of those. It's called Jonathan Hickman's God is Dead, but Mike Costa wrote most of it. Jonathan Hickman only actually wrote like the first 6, but that's actually how I got to be friends with Justin Jordan, because I was reading that, and Justin Jordan did a little bit on it. So it's Cy Spurrier. Like, there's so much of my comic love comes from Avatar.
Yeah.
And it's not the feel good stuff that you can get from Jeff Lemire.
No, it's not so much feel good.
Yeah, it's usually pretty violent. It's usually pretty. I think my first foray is that into it was. Black Summer.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah. And that was like, I am so sold on this. And again, the amount of violence and the art and the amount that where they were willing to go with the level of gore was just beyond anything else.
Warren Ellis's Freak Angels was the first digital comic that I actually ever read, like all the way through. That got me reading digital comics, and that was produced by them. Just solidly the last Alan Moore work in comics, I think, was Avatar.
Yeah.
I think Cinema Purgatorio was the last thing he ever wrote that was published in comics. And that and
what was the other one? Not Necronomicon, but
that was the Lovecraft
Providence,
yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
I really want to fuck in an attic in front of a crystal because of that book.
Inspiration. Inspiration.
It's so good. I feel like I share too much on this show sometimes. The book I want to tell you guys about this week is going to distance itself from what Matt was just talking about. But arguably it is about sex in a house, kind of. And it's a book that we've spoken about before on the show. I think we read the first issue together, but it's The Me You Love in the Dark by Scotty Young, Jorge Corona, John Francis Bellew, and Nate Picos. This is obviously Scotty Young and Jorge Corona back together again. They did Middle West. We spoke about the first issue. I really like the book, but one of the things that we talked about is I wasn't really sure where it's going. A little background: this artist who is a one-hit, not a one-hit wonder, but like blew up out of nowhere and is trying to set up her next show. She's trying to find her inspiration or muse. So she goes to this little small town, finds a house that's quote unquote haunted, and she moves in, and she's gonna just lock herself in there and paint and get inspired and all this other stuff. Long story short, the house actually is haunted. There is the house's personality. The house is there is something that owns this house and everything in it that she kind of develops a relationship with throughout the first 3 issues, like an actual relationship. Like the house can pull itself together in shadows in some type of physical form, and they make love, and like they have this relationship, and it's good. Issue 4.
I saw that movie.
Right. I've seen that movie a couple times.
Yeah.
Issue 4 really gives you a good picture of where the story is, the metaphor that is the story, right? Because this is not a story. This is a story about a haunted house. This is a story about artist inspiration, but really this is a story about an abusive relationship, and how relationships can turn toxic, and how in issue 4 you start realizing all the red flags that were there, but that you might have looked over, or you just kind of like, that's weird. But they should have been giant.
You
red
mean
flags.
making love to the spirit of the house probably was.
Look, if you can have incorporeal sex, I'm not going to judge you for that. You do what you want to do.
Yeah, we don't kink shame.
In issue 4, it really has become toxic. She wants to open the windows and get sunlight. The house won't let her. She wants to go outside. She wants to do some things by herself. The house won't let her. She needs to go to the store. The house does something and pulls in food so she doesn't have to leave the house. Her agent has been trying to get a hold of her over and over and over again, and he won't let her talk. The house will not let her talk to her family, her friends, her agent, her boss. People are starting to get worried.
Sounds abusive.
It is completely controlling. This thing has gone from something that she thought was wonderful, that was inspiring, that was love, that was weird, it was something new and different, something quote-unquote special, to being just incredibly abusive and incredibly toxic. And it's gaslighting her constantly. It's doing that whole thing, well, I'm sorry, but why are you being so selfish? Why are you wanting to do? Why don't you?
It would
love
be
me
amazing
enough?
if the house lighting was actually gaslighting.
Most of it's candles. So, in this story, you start to see all of this this internalistic as far as the relationship in the house goes, but it becomes so toxic that what Scotty Young does and what Jorge does is they inject a third party into it to show you what happens when the outside world starts pushing back into these very isolationist, very toxic relationships. Her agent, who has been trying to get a hold of her, shows up, doesn't call. He's like, he's had enough. He needs to know she's okay, number one, but like, this is a business too. Like what have you produced? We've got a show to put on. People want to know what you're going to buy. Like, I need to see some stuff. He shows up uninvited out of nowhere and like just kind of pushes his way into the house. And of course the house is talking to her the whole time. Get him out of here. It's going to be bad. You don't want to know what I can do to him. Like, you're messing up and you're going to be responsible if I hurt him. You need to fix this. This is your problem. Get him out. And of course he's like, he doesn't hear any of this, but he's walking through the house and is like, okay, and she's just got paintings stacked up all over the place. Like, she's been doing work, but it's not what she should be. Like, it's not anything in her wheelhouse. It's all new stuff. That's unlike anything she's done before. And he's kind of looking at it. And it's like, you have enough for 4 shows here. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you waiting on? Why haven't you, like you're done here. Like, come on, let's go back. And so she starts making excuses, and she's like, oh, look, I really need you to leave. And she goes to another room, and her agent hears her talking to the house. And he's like, wait a minute, somebody else here? Somebody keeping you here? Like, he starts realizing what's happening. Of course, he doesn't understand the supernatural aspect to it. But he's just like, no, fuck it. We're, like, get in the car. Like, we're leaving right now. I'm taking you away from that. I don't know who's in that back room. If they want to come out, we can handle this, but you're coming with me right now. And this is not somebody that he can, fisticuffs are not going to help the situation. This is not something that he can fight back against. And she is trying to push him out. Well, about that moment, the house shuts the shit down. Lights go out, curtains close, doors locked, click. And all of a sudden, like, he's as all this happens, Like he's looking at, at this artist. He's looking at just what's going on, and all you see behind him is these eyeballs. This just weird and ugly, netherworldly scene behind him, and he's just like, who is doing this to you? And she just points and she says him, and then all of a sudden you see it's just splatter, which is not uncommon to see in Jorge Corona's art. He does a lot with like brush splatter, so you don't really know if that's just an artistic choice or if this is blood splatter. Like we don't know if Addison, her agent, is alive in the next and final issue. It's gonna be curious to see, but it is just gruesome. And that's what I love about Scotty Young.
This is a book I need to get in trade format.
It's so good, and it's going to be 5 issues. It's Scotty doing what Scotty does best, telling a story within a story. Much like we talked about with Jeff Lemire, writing the human condition into other forms. Yes, this is a horror story, but it's really about a toxic, abusive relationship. Yes, Middle West is adventure story about a child on the run, but it's really about internalizing anger issues and generational trauma. So and then that's what I love about Scotty. And interesting thing with him and Jeff Lemire, both of them are young parents. So they're writing their fatherhood and they're writing their experience into these stories, and I think it's spectacular. I think it's great work. I would love to own a piece of Corona art. Who wouldn't? Because it's just gorgeous. Yet again, it's that very loose, painterly style. But I say it's loose and painterly. That's more of the colors. Jean-Francois Bellew has done the colors on most of Scotty's books. He was Scotty's colorist for a long, long time. But Jorge, his cartooning style is very much in the vein of something we've seen. It's not exactly Scotty Young. Like it's not as baby-ish, that Mad Magazine style, but it's very much in that same vein, that like it's of the school, if that makes sense. So I'm all in. I can't wait for the 5th issue. And yeah, if you haven't been reading this, pick it up in trade form. It is dark. It gets real dark in really interesting ways. So I'm all in. One of my favorite miniseries this year. So go check it out. Me Love in the Dark. I mean, you should read any Scotty Young book. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, he's doing really well. It has been for a few years now.
Both in the comics and in his bank account. That dude is making bank. The money he makes off of just his baby X-Men drawings alone, commissions alone, that dude could just never work again. So I've thoroughly enjoyed myself today. I hope you guys have as well. I hope you folks listening to this, I hope you've had a good time listening to us talk about comics. We love the medium. We love the culture. That's why we do this thing. And we hope you have pulled something from this, something useful. If you want more of this, we would invite you, as I always feel like I'm like closing down a church service when I do this. We would invite you to come to the altar, and come to our Facebook page, come to our Twitter page, follow us on Instagram. We're posting pictures of the panels. Like I posted a few of the Batman panels, the Robin and Batman story. On our Facebook page, we're talking about movies that we like. We talk about comics. We talk about games. We talk about a little bit of everything. Had some people talking about what they were most excited about from the Disney Plus Marvel drop the other day. It's fun times. Come there and hang out with us. If you are so moved and you want to send us an email, maybe you're working on a project or something like that, shoot us an email. We're southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. We are going to close out our little soiree into comics conversation here the way that we always do. We're going to give you guys a hint of what is hopefully coming out this next week. We assume it is. Hopefully the diamond kerfluffle irons itself out and new books roll again, because it kind of has given me PTSD and flashbacks to the Corona times, and I don't like it. But we're going to give you a hint of some of the things that we think you should pick up, some things that may need to find their way into your hands. Don't know if they're good or bad per se, but we're taking a guess, and we're going to set the menu a little bit. So, Matt, what are you going to read this next week, brother?
So, in all likelihood, I'm taking the book we're going to talk about from DC Comics, Wonder Woman Evolution.
I got another one. It's okay.
This is by Stephanie Phillips and Mike Hawthorne. So, whisked away from Earth by a distant cosmic entity, Wonder Woman is forced to navigate a series of perilous challenges. So, the setting, that setup is very intriguing to me. Seeing, what feels like Wonder Woman performing the tasks of Hercules kind of feel to it. I'm really intrigued by. So I'm going to see what she do with this
Stephanie
team.
Phillips is just amazing.
Yeah, and Mike Hawthorne being on is going to be interesting.
I was going to say, I've seen some of the art for this that he's shown, some of the pages that he's gotten done, and oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, his take on this is going to be super interesting.
It makes my stomach fill with little butterflies. It's that good. What about you, Craig? What you reading?
Well, the book I'm going to try and get my hands on, and I say try to because I don't know if it's been ordered for the shop or not. I didn't see it in the solicitations, but I wish I had of.
Right.
And it's from Clover Press, Richard Delgado, and it's Dracula of Transylvania. It's a hardcover OGN, and it's a reimagining of Dracula.
Okay.
Which is something that I enjoy because, to be quite honest, I've read the novel a couple of times. It's a hard novel to get through. I kind of like when they do a reimagining of it and a little different take on it because we all know that story anyways.
Right.
So just from the cover alone, if it's any indication as to what the art is going to look like.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful.
Way into this book, so...
shoot me a screenshot of those or something like that. I'll try to post it on our stuff because that looks killer. So the book that I think you all should go pick up is actually not a number 1. It is a number 8. But that's because I think you should go grab the whole series. And it's a book that I've been reading because I missed it at first, so I'm catching up on it. And it's called Jonna and the Unpossible Monsters. Jonna. I say Jonna. I'm not real sure. If I could read the solicitation, and I will, to sell you on it, but really the creative team should sell you on it. It's Chris Samney and Laura Samney teaming up along with a couple of their friends to deliver an all-ages book about a young woman or young girl who goes on adventures. It's an all-ages type thing, and it's pretty great. So the solicitation says, the road to finding your family can be long and slimy. Still on the road looking for their missing father, Rainbow and Jonna take an unexpected detour through some very ooky monster-created tunnels. I like all ages stories. I love Chris Samney. So this was kind of, like I said, I missed the first few issues and had to go back and grab what I could. I am really in on this. I think it's really fun. It's really cute. Pull at your heartstrings a little bit. It's great. It's something that you can also give to your kids. So as the holidays are approaching, if you do have your crotchfruit that you want to buy things for, you should check out this and maybe wrap it. Do not fold it up and put it in their stocking, or do. It's your shit. I don't care. But this would make a great all ages gift for a young kiddo somewhere. It's a fun little adventure. So go check that out, and then check out other stuff that comes out this next week. So
do it.
Well, guys, do we have anything left on the table? You can bare your soul. No, I just we should say on the show that Matt and I both decided to wear Hulk shirts today. Like we didn't coordinate this; it just happened. Yeah. Craig has a badass Darby Allin shirt though.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So we're going to leave you with that. And as always, go forth and love some comics.
I'm struggling whether my new CB handle is going to be Captain Angst or Crotchfruit.
Captain Crotchfruit. Combine them. Captain Crotchfruit. I mean, that's a good name for Batman. He's totally Captain Angst.
I agreed.
He is Nightbat.
And
his sidekick is Sparrow.
And Jade Sparrow.